Hey guys, it's the Red Shadow, and I'm back with another recent viewing video, the first of two I'm going to be doing right now. And I'm going to try to make both of these as short as possible because there's not really a whole lot I feel like I have to expand on with either of these two movies that I watched. But anyway, before I just start rambling on and making it long, this video is about a movie called Seventh Son. This was I thought it was kind of interesting. One of the reviews that I read on it, a critic called it a February release. Now, they may not have meant anything other than this movie came out in February, but if you know anything about how movies are released, the two focal points are always like that May, June, July, like the summertime, and then like your November, December, Thanksgiving, and Christmas time. And any movies that come out in like September, October, I hope I didn't say September earlier, November and December. Anyway, anything that comes out in like September, October, or like January, February, March, those are kind of like where you send movies that you expect to die, to die. And this movie came out in February here in the US, and I remember seeing the previews for it, and I was like, yeah, this looks kind of cool. Hey, it's got some decent names in it, like Jeff Bridges and Julianne Moore, and it had a fantasy feel to it. So I thought, well, yeah, maybe one of these days I'll rent it or something like that. Well, I got the opportunity to rent it, and I watched it. It's been a few days now since I watched it, but I got to check it out, and I was pleasantly surprised with it. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. Now, when it started, all I could think of was, this is so generic, this is so basic, it's just so bleh, like it didn't have a personality behind it. And maybe it was just because I'm so programmed nowadays to think that any good movies with decent casts and special effects and all that kind of stuff, if they're not attached to something like Lord of the Rings or something like that that has an established name to it, then it couldn't be good. This is this is the movie equivalent of video game IP. Give us new IPs. We're always talking in video gaming. Give us a new IP. But when it comes to movies, it seems like if somebody does something like this, it's just going to get compared to all the big flicks, and it's not going to be able to measure up. And so at first, I thought, yeah, this is not really doing anything for me. It's not speaking to me. But it took some time, and then eventually, I was like, actually, this is pretty good. It was good for me anyway. As I said, it had good CGI. It had a good cast of people in it. In addition to Jeff Bridges and Julianne Moore, it had Ben Barnes, who's got a look about him, and he's a decent actor, but he just kind of has a look to me that could seal this guy into a lot of good roles throughout his career. It had Alicia Vikander, or I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, who was actually in a movie that just came out recently that I want to watch called Ex Machina. But I didn't realize she was even in this movie, or that it was the same lady, I guess. But she was really good, and just everybody else who was in it. It was really decent. Like I said, by the time it got to the end of the movie, I felt like it had actually pulled off a really good tribute or homage to like 70s and 80s fantasy movies, like Willow and like Never Ending Story, just movies that, well, back then nobody would have cared that they just came out of nowhere. Nowadays, like I said, if it isn't tied into a big franchise, people just seem to overlook it. But this one would have fit in well back in those days. So I like I said, I was just really surprised in a pleasant manner, and I think it's a movie I would definitely want to pick up somewhere down the road and put in my collection. I could watch it again and enjoy it a lot. So anyway, that's my thoughts about Seventh Son. Go check it out. At least rent it. It's definitely worth a rental if you're into fantasy style movies and whatnot. Definitely go check it out. So anyway, that's it for me on this one. I'll see you in the next one, which I'm getting ready to do right now.